So be good. So you can relay this information. We're also making it go Facebook Live right now, and so we'll share that with people. Hey, I want to start with telling you the theme of camp. So I know it's only November, but it's good to know it now. So we're going back to N3 camp, which is what we did last summer. We've actually done N3 camp now. This will be our 5th year. High school has now done N3 camp, but the theme is the glory of God. So being in awe and wonder of the glory of God. And so if you want to know camp speakers and all that, you can come ask me later. I have all that information. But just you'll hear more, but that's the theme for this year's camp, which is really cool to have the theme so early. But what we want to tell you is when we give you the calendars for Promotion Sunday, I think 3 months ago, I give you the dates for high school camp, middle school camp. Usually we know the dates, and then that's a really early, like we just found out those dates, but then we go and we put in our request for bus companies and ask for, okay, how much are the bus going to cost? Every year we expected it to go up a little higher, but this year the bus costs increased a lot higher than we expected. So just to give you an idea of last summer's budget, or last summer, it cost us, when you added up middle school, 2 buses to Glorieta, and 2 buses to the middle school camp, and 2 buses to high school camp, it was about almost $27,000 for 4 buses. And you look at that, you're like, well, those numbers are crazy. I see this every year, but if you're not in the bus charter world, that seems like really high. It's like a really high allowance, right? Super high, but that is what, and we actually budget, when we vote on the budget at the end of the service today, if you look at the items, I actually budget ministry costs to cover bus costs, so that when you send your student to camp, you're just paying the actual cost to go to the camp. You're not actually paying for a bus. We try to do that, so the tithes go to cover that. But what happened is when we sent in our request, look how much it went in. So because I actually shopped around at 2 different travel agencies, it went up. That is a difference of $26,000. That's basically a double. What happened? There's 2 things happening here. So for middle school camp, we couldn't go to Highland Lakes because of scheduling. We had to go to Zephyr, and Zephyr is further, so prices go up. We also, even though our gas has gone down, thankfully, the diesel costs have stayed relatively high, and a lot of bus companies took a hit last year because when they gave us a quotes, they have to honor those quotes, and they didn't realize in the summer that gas would be so high, so they actually were at a net loss for last year. So I think they're trying to redo that. So I searched around, but if we were going to do what we did last year, it would be so much more to send high school to Zephyr, or to high school to Glorieta. But last year we charged $208 per student. This year, if I were to not budget for the additional cost, but just put that on the cost of camp, it'd be $533 per student. So that, when I saw those quotes come in, and I just didn't feel right either charging you guys more, and I didn't feel right with increasing our ministry budget to only basically increase giving so it goes to gas. I wanted, if we were going to increase giving for student ministry, I wanted to go to ministry. So I wanted y'all to see how much it's gone up, and so we had a decision to make. And so our decision was, for camp 2023, our decision was to move high school camp to the same week as middle school camp. So currently, middle school camp has already been scheduled for this. So this doesn't change middle school camp dates I gave you 3 months ago. But now high school is going to Camp Zephyr, June 26th to 30th. So if you want to put that down in your calendars, you might need to correct that. So for high school, we're going to Camp Zephyr, June 26th to 30th. That is the same week as middle school camp. So this doesn't change middle school camp as much as it changed high school camp. We're not going to Glorieta anymore. We're going to Camp Zephyr. Let me just talk a little bit about this. So the cool thing is, this will make timing a lot easier. Middle school, high school are going to the same camp. So drop-off times, pickup times are the same, meeting times are the same. So if you have a kid in middle school, high school, now everything's synced up. But I did want to tell you, when we register with M3 camp, we register middle school, high school separately. So what this means, if you're a high schooler, what this means is that you'll be riding the bus with middle school. We'll all be going together. But when we get there, you will have your own dorms. High school will have their own dorms. We'll all be the same church group color, blue or whatever color we choose. But when we get there, high school, middle school will have different family groups and church group times. We may sit together during worship, but we'll be separate, middle school, high school, during family groups, during probably rec time, and for the rest of the camp. So essentially, we're having the same camp, same great experience that we always know from N3 camp. So that's awesome. But we also, because we register separately, high school, it still feels like it's a high school camp because you're not going to be interacting with middle school except for the bus right there and back. So I wanted to let you know it's separate, but we're going together to the same camp. Does that make sense? Not in your head, that makes sense. We're together at going camp, but we're registered separate. Middle school, high school will have separate meeting times, separate everything. So I wanted just to show you this. Parents in the room will enjoy this more as students, but if you're big in the numbers, you like this. So this is the figure I showed you last year. Last slide. If we were to do middle school, high school camp at different camps and go to Gloria and Camp Zephyr, it would be a total of about $53,000 for 4 buses. But if we go to the same camp, middle school and high school, what it does is it's about $9,000 per bus, and we can actually now take 3 buses instead of 4. So we drop down 1 bus because we don't have the extra space. We can put 165 people on 3 buses, which in the years past we haven't been taking 165. So this allows us to take more guests, but now taking 3 buses instead of 4 is $27,000. The point is that we're saving money by going to 1 camp, taking 3 buses instead of 2 separate camps, 4 buses. Make sense?
Yes.
So, but it's not all about dollars and cents. I wanted to show you the decision to go to Camp Zephyr high school camp is actually more about ministry than it is about prices. Because here's the cool thing. This year we are eating part of the cost for camp to make it cheaper for you. So M3 raised the rates, not a lot, but $295 per student. What we are doing, because we're not spending all that money on the buses to go to Glorietta, we are essentially keeping the cost at $280. That was last year's cost. So when everything has inflated in your world, and hopefully your paycheck is inflated too, camp hasn't inflated. If it hasn't, I'm so sorry. You need to talk to your employer about that. But that's what's cool is camp in a way, it's actually cheaper than last year because we're keeping it the same price. Another thing is adult leaders can go free. In the years past, we've actually charged like $50 or $100 for adults to go. We are now have funds free to cover adults. They're already taking time off from work, so they're already spending their vacation time to be a leader. So they're going to go free this year. And I think this is a big win. Although as much as, don't get me wrong, I love Glorietta, I love the mountains, I love Estes Park. I was a big advocate of that. I do think having a camp that's a little closer for high school will allow more guests to attend because they don't see it as far away. They don't see that bus ride as big of a hurdle. The price, making the price cheaper, is less barriers for people who are guests to attend camp, which is really, really good. So that's the heart, is more ministry. Here's something else too. Okay, here's some pictures. We actually have been to Camp Zephyr. If you're in 8th grade, you probably remember the 6th grade year. We've been there. And so here's some pictures of when we went 2 years ago. So Camp Zephyr has everything that the other camps do. They got your rock climbing. They have all the pool and the lake activities. You see there's a blob there. They have zip lining. They have paintballing. Really nice sand volleyball court. Everything you have there. You have at Zephyr. And here's the thing: as much as I love Glorietta, what you have to realize that we all need to realize is that what makes camp isn't the location. What makes camp an experience where you encounter God and there's an influence is getting away for 5 days from your daily routine, being in a spiritual community where everyone's thinking the same, everyone's trying to connect with God. You're hearing the word preached twice. You're spending time in community. You're hanging out, having fun, and then that's what makes camp. So whether we go to Glorietta or go to Zephyr, Zephyr will provide all those things. And so, and those are our pictures. And I will say, when I asked students last year, when we went to Highland Lakes, asked them about Zephyr, a lot of our middle school students were like, we'd rather go back to Zephyr. They had a really good experience. It's a little bit, everything's a little more local, so less walking. The facilities are great at Zephyr. So we're really excited to go both middle school and high school to Zephyr this year. Here's something else. I told you we're saving money on buses. It's not just only about camp. Now we're using funds across the entire student ministry more wisely. So we're adding value to one weekend. Now, this has nothing to do with camp, but what it does is because of the decision we made to not go to Glorietta for high school camp, but to have them go to Zephyr, we're able to do this for 1 weekend. Check this out. Which 1 weekend is in February. It's our D now. We do February. We're doing a 50% discount. If you bring a guest to 1 weekend, you get 50% off, and your guest gets 50% off. So what a guest means is someone who's not on our Sunday morning roster or a Wednesday night roster. So if we'll have to verify them, but it's someone who's not already on the roster, once they register, the discounts apply to you and them. Here's something you could do if you consider doing that. You could potentially get an agreement from your guest, your one that you're buying one weekend. You could register him or her, and you could pay the whole $70 for your student to go, and essentially their guest goes to go free. Or you can have them pay $10 or $20, but it is a 50% discount, both you and your guest. That gets applied as soon as your guest registers. We had a great pigskin where we saw as many guests as students. We saw 6 students give their life to Christ. We usually bring over 100 students to one weekend every year. Imagine if we had 100 guests. Think how many people would come to Christ. So our goal for one weekend has always been bring people who don't know Jesus or aren't connected to this church. So we're now having a financial incentive to bring a guest. Also, not just a financial incentive, because we freed up some funds. Here's what we're doing Saturday afternoon on one weekend. In the past, we've done a scavenger hunt. You might remember that one time we went to North Fort Worth and we just played around. In other years, we've done like crazy stuff. What we're doing this year is something I think a little bit like it's a little bit more pricey, but really cool. Is high school is going to go to main event. They're gonna go to main event. We have a whole package. There's bowling, there's the unlimited gaming, there's laser tag and all that. And middle school is going to go to a trampoline park. Now I haven't got confirmation, but I want to go to Airborne Trampoline Park, the one at NRH. You know, we're talking about Airborne. But they have a new ownership, and they were supposed to get back to me with the prices, and they just haven't. But it's going to work. I'm pretty sure, but I just haven't gotten verbal commitment. Haven't gotten a commitment with them, but that's where we're looking to go for middle school. So when you go to one weekend, not only can your guest go half off or potentially free, you can tell them if you're in high school, hey, we're going to go to main event on Saturday. It's going to be fun. You in middle school, you'd be like, hey, we're going to go to trampoline park on Saturday. It's going to be fun. And what's really cool is the price. We're not increasing the price for one weekend. It's going to remain at $70 for the early bird rate and $90 for the regular rate. It's actually $1 less than last year. But again, with prices going up everywhere, we are using funds a little bit wiser this year to make sure prices do not go up for you guys, because we really care about the family and we want to see more people come to camp in one weekend. So with all that said, one weekend is February 17th through 19th. Go ahead and register this Wednesday. We open registration up at 9:01, and the reason we do it right at 9:01 is the first 10 people who register get a free hoodie. I didn't bring it with me, but remember the one weekend hoodies last year? They were navy instead of one weekend, or they were actually, I think, red, and the year before it was navy. This year it'll be a different color. I don't know the color just yet, but the first 10 get a free hoodie. And what we're going to do this year is that if you, let's say you're not one of the first 10, you can buy a hoodie. We're going to have an option when you register. You pay whatever the cost of the hoodie is, $20, $25, and you'll get a hoodie. So, but go ahead and register this Wednesday at 9:01 p.m. to one weekend, and you can already, once you get registered, you can start getting your friends registered, your guests. And if they're a true guest, there's a discount for you guys, and you can tell them about main event or trampoline park. So let me make sure I did it. Yep. So just to recap, basically, this whole meeting was to tell you high school camp. We're going to Camp Zephyr, June 26th to 30th, and register for one weekend. And we have all these cool deals and incentives we're doing for one weekend. So it has been 14 minutes. That's exactly what I wanted to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dismiss you guys. If you have any questions about anything I said or about camp one weekend, I'll stay here. Dana will be here. Carl will be here. But you guys are free to go. Thank you all. Have a good weekend. So, oh no, I always make sure.